Support for WNYC comes from Disney's Young Woman and the Sea. This true story from producer Jerry Bruckheimer stars Daisy Ridley as Trudy Ederle, who risked everything when she decided to swim the English Channel. The movie opens in select theaters Friday.
On the next Brian Lehrer Show, gentrification in Newburgh and elsewhere in the Hudson Valley. We'll have Richard Osejo, author of a new book called 60 Miles Upriver, Gentrification and Race in a Small American City. Also, the latest on the Trump trial jury and potential impacts from their conclusion. The Brian Lehrer Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on WNYC.
All that AI isn't going to power itself, you know.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Wall Street Journal's Tech News Briefing podcast. Hear what happened to Meta's big bet on the metaverse in a new series, available wherever you get podcasts.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. The rise of artificial intelligence is fueling a boom in data centers. The consulting firm McKinsey expects the rate of data center construction will accelerate by 10% through the year 2030 to provide all the computing power needed for AI. And if you've got more computing and more data centers, you need, of course, more electricity. By the end of this decade, a big chunk of all the power created in the U.S. is going to go to things like data centers, according to new research. Marketplace's Lily Jamali has more.
A large data center consumes roughly as much power as 750,000 homes. And the data center industry has been growing quickly since OpenAI released ChatGPT 2 years ago. The Electric Power Research Institute estimates that by 2030, the sector could use up 9% of all the electricity generated in the U.S. That's double the current share. The surge of high-intensity computing needed to power AI is happening alongside growth in domestic manufacturing and a push, in some places, to electrify everything. One concern, more potential strains on the nation's grid. I'm Lily Jamali for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. The FTSE in London is up 0.3%. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are all down in the 4 to 0.9% range, with the Dow futures down 330 points. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 4.597%. Today is the deadline for Boeing to tell U.S. regulators how it plans to fix safety issues that have plagued the plane manufacturer. This is part of the fallout from the incident in January, where a door plug blew off a 737 MAX Boeing plane. A panel put together by the Federal Aviation Administration determined that some of Boeing's safety protocols are coming up short. Boeing stock is up 0.5% in pre-market trading.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying. And by Schwab, helping people invest in ideas they believe in with Schwab Investing Themes, with more than 40 themes to choose from. More at schwab.com.
We are taking a look this week at the economic reality behind the war between Israel and Hamas, what that war has meant for the Palestinian and Israeli economies. Earlier this week, we started with some context, the Palestinian economy before the current war. Now, we're taking a look at the economic disruption and changes caused by the conflict. And for that, we've got Raja Khalidi. He's Director General of the Palestine Economic Policy Research Institute. We reached him in Ramallah in the West Bank. Professor Khalidi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
When it comes to talking about the economic situation of Palestinians, there's the obvious destruction in Gaza, which I'm going to ask you about. But I'm curious how the West Bank, where Israel has launched some raids, but obviously nothing like in Gaza, how has that economy been affected by the war?
The West Bank communities and cities have not suffered, certainly not the sort of destruction rained upon Gaza. However, that should not obscure the fact that in certain places, in fact, they have been termed mini Gazas. That aside, there have been basic waves that hit the West Bank economy consecutively. The first of which was the return of around 180,000 Palestinian workers who were bringing in about 20% of national income every year from working in Israel and in the settlements. Very few have gone back. So that is a blow in itself. There have been major disruptions, from 550 checkpoints and gates and other obstacles Israel has placed around the Palestinian cantons that it rules in the West Bank. The number has risen to close to 800. So that has imposed mobility restrictions affecting trade, internal commerce, people getting to work. You know, this idea that the war of Israel is only against Gaza is a bit, unfortunately, not accurate.
The Israeli government has authority over Palestinian tax revenue and customs duties. How has that changed since the war started, and what's that meant for the economy?
Well, that has always been a major Achilles heel. Trade taxes that are collected by Israel amount to around $250, $300 million a month in good times. Before the war, Israel had already instituted a policy of unilateral deductions. So it was cutting money that it thought the PA owed. Since the war, they've imposed new deductions. The first one was deducting yet another $75 million per month, approximately, which is equivalent to the PA's expenditures on salaries and pensions in Gaza, which they put in an escrow account with the Norwegians because of American pressure. Now, given the most recent political developments, Israel is now beginning to apply collective punishment to the PA and the Palestinians, again, yet another one, and this time financial, by an announcement by the Minister of Finance that he will not transfer any of the money that PA supposedly is entitled to, any of it. So I think it's, now a ludicrous, absurd situation. We are so far beyond what was agreed in 95 and re-agreed up to 2005. You cannot fix this. You need a totally new system.
The most obvious question when it comes to the Palestinian economy is around the utter destruction in Gaza. How does an economy recover from that?
Yeah, the numbers are staggering. Firstly, a political result from this war would make people want to recover. And we're going to have a major problem with mass trauma of 2 million Palestinians that will need more than just a little bit of money and a good plan. This is going to require a collective effort on behalf of the Palestinian people. So money, a political horizon, political unity. And fourthly, innovative schemes. I mean, there's something, for example, called universal basic income. So I would say we start there in a sense, $3.34 billion, which is what we're spending on aid every year anyhow, and relief, and let people rebuild communities, rebuild lives, rebuild their occupation. You're going to have to do something like that if you want a decent, humane recovery. Otherwise, it's going to be in fits and starts, and it's going to take years and years and years if those conditions that I mentioned are not in place.
Raja Khalidi is Director General of the Palestine Economic Policy Research Institute. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Tomorrow, we'll have a look at what the war has meant for the Israeli economy. You can listen live here, or it'll be streaming online at marketplace.org, where you can also find all of our coverage on this topic. In New York, I'm Sabri Ben-Achour with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.
WNYC supporters include Helen Keller International, helping community health workers rid the world of debilitating disease.